Hey, Anna Taylor here from the Anna Taylor Radio Podcast Show. Want to know where you can find me? All over the place. Try Facebook and Instagram, Anna Taylor Radio. On TikTok, it's the @ Anna Taylor Radio Now. On X, formerly known as Twitter, it's the @ Anna T Radio. You can listen to this podcast at anchor.fm/Anna Taylor Radio Now, or just go to Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and just type in Anna Taylor Radio to find me. To watch this podcast, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Anna Taylor Radio Channel. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or want to be a guest on my show, or just contact me, please email me at annataylorradio@gmail.com. If you would like to donate or gift this podcast show, you can gift it to Cash App, which is the $ in all lowercase, Anna Taylor Radio Now. And PayPal with the @ all lowercase, Anna Taylor Radio. I appreciate all your support and everyone who listens or watches this podcast show. Welcome to another episode of the 10-part series of the Love Project. So far, you should have listened to the intro. Technically, there's 11 episodes, but there's actually 10 categories of episodes, if that makes any sense. But the 11th one would be the intro. So if you have started and have been following this itinerary of this interactive podcast show and series, first, you would have listened to the introduction to the Love Project and what it is and what it's going to help you with and what we're going to be going over and what to do and pretty much all the instructions and everything. And if you haven't, go back and listen to the intro, please. Just to recap, the last episode, which was the first one in the series, technically, was about self-love. We learned about what self-love is, why it's so important, and how to have self-love. If you don't remember, hey, go back to the episode and listen to it again. And just to mention, this is designed and geared towards people in a relationship. However, this can be for someone who's single too. So you can go over the series and do this yourself. And then once you finally find somebody, maybe come back to it and you guys do it together. Or you'll just have the know-how and the knowledge already, to look out for what to look for in a healthy relationship. And maybe you actually find the right one instead of wasting your time with the wrong ones. So there you go. So an intro into what this episode is going to be about. We're going to be talking about toxic terms, or what's called toxic terms, okay? Which are basically, I'll get into what they are, but this one is about toxic terms. And also, just to give quick instructions and to recap the instructions, this is an interactive series. So we're going to go over the podcast episode segment. And then following that, we're going to go into the workshop. The workshop entails a learning experience and then an actual exercise for you to do. So next on the list of cleaning house, I guess, would be that's how you do the workshop. And then next would be stay tuned at the end of actually each of these episodes for a list of resources that I'm going to give you. And this is for anybody. So if you or someone is in a bad, toxic, abusive situation or a crisis situation or anything like that, it's going to be a list of resources and numbers that they or you can call to receive the help that you need, okay? And also just to mention that some of the stuff that we're going to be going over in this series, I've already done some episodes. Like, for instance, I've done red flags, like the 30 red flags episode. Just go back and scroll through the episode titles, and if you'd like, some of that goes more into depth than what we do here, but this also goes into depth as well, because this is a learning experience, because I want you to remember it, so that way, if you're single, you know what to look out for. You know what I'm saying? You know what to look out for, that we find the right person. And if you're not single, this will help you build each other's relationship. It'll help you learn yourself better, it'll help you learn your partner better, or vice versa. It's just a win-win. Okay. So if you want to, and I highly encourage you to go back and listen to my other episodes, because I got all kinds of other episodes too. Because this is Anna Taylor from the Anna Taylor Radio Podcast Show, talking about what most don't. So I have bedtime stories. I got all kinds of stuff. So yeah, go please check it out. Okay. Let's get into this. So this episode is about toxic terms. What are toxic terms? Well, it's kind of self-explanatory, really. Toxic terms are basically terms referring to toxic behaviors or people. Okay. Now, I'm going to list or tell you just a small list of examples of toxic terms. Okay. There's way more than this out there. You can Google them, you can look it up, you can ask a domestic violence advocate or some kind of abuse advocate or psychologist or whatever. Okay. But there's so many other terms out there that it's insane. But either way, because sometimes it's like people are like, well, they got to coin a term to everything. Well, yeah, honestly, yeah, because sometimes there's behaviors that hurt people and they want validity, however you say the word, validity in that behavior, because it's like, what are they doing to me? There's no name for it. And once there's a name for it, then it makes it valid, and it it just makes everything valid. So anyway, excuse me, I got a little cough today, but all right. So here is just a small list of examples of words, terms, toxic terms, that basically is in the world of, toxicity. And some of these are disorder, as well as things that people do to somebody to and maybe manipulate them or hurt them in some way on purpose, or sometimes not even on purpose. They may not realize they're doing it, and some of these terms I may give a brief synopsis of what it means. If I don't, and there's toxic term I say and go over that I don't mention a definition or an explanation for, just look it up. It's that simple. Don't forget, Get a memo book, $1 memo book from the Dollar Tree. Put all your notes in there. Write this stuff down so you can remember it. All right. The School of Anna Taylor Radio. All right. So here we go. So some toxic terms would be, all right, there would be projection, reactive abuse, playing victim, love bombing, flying monkeys, codependency, gaslighting, narcissism, gray rock, breadcrumbing, baiting, discard, and reverse discard. Okay. So with these terms, I'll go over a couple of them and explain them. So basically, you're like, well, what's projection? Projection is basically, I cheated on you, but I'm going to tell you that you cheat. I'm projecting what I did on you. So I may have cheated on you in some way, shape, or form, whether it be watching porn behind your back, neglecting your sex life or love life, right? But then I project, and say, well, you're the one that has a problem, insecurities and has a problem with porn, not me. No. The person who went behind the person's back has the problem with porn because they can't control themselves, right? So it's just a form of, which is one of these terms too, gaslighting. Gaslighting, okay, is basically a form. It's a tactic of a form or tactic of manipulation. It's a form of manipulation, and it's an abuse tactic, using a form of manipulation, rather, I should say, to basically alter or change the reality of someone's perception. So, I may I may be disrespectful and say something to you. And I might say, you're fat. You are so fat and ugly. But that girl I work with, me, she's hot. Right? That hurts. Right? So then flip the script. Okay. So let's say I'm the person that was just told that I'm fat and ugly, and my partner thinks that their coworker's hot. Okay. That hurts me. Why would you say something like that? Why? Why don't you think I'm beautiful? I am beautiful. What are you talking about? And besides, I'm your woman, not her. I'm the one that cooks and cleans and picks up after your ass. What do you mean? And then let's flip the script. So here I am. I'm the person that's gaslighting. And they'll be like, "What are you talking about?" You flip the script. You just called me fat and ugly, and you said your coworker was hot. Flip it again. No, I didn't. What are you talking about? I did not. I never said my coworker was hot. And when did I call you fat and ugly? You just called me, like, literally 3 minutes ago. You just called me fat and ugly and said she was hot. Man, you're lying. You're such a liar. You're a manipulator. You know that? You're such a manipulator. Why are you doing this to me? That right there is part of projection too. This is part of a behavior that I mentioned on here. Here's another toxic term: is narcissism or narcissistic behavior. Narcissism, a narcissist, or narcissistic. Okay, it's all the same thing. But NPD is narcissistic personality disorder. Okay, which people can carry narcissistic traits and behaviors and not technically be a narcissist. Okay. This could be because they're living with a narcissist and they end up mimicking their behaviors out of defense or coping mechanisms, because that's the only thing that works, or just different reasons. So technically you might not be a narcissist, but you might carry those traits or behaviors. You understand? But there are people out there who really have NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. So, and narcissists, this is something they do a lot. They gaslight. That's like one of their favorite things. That's like, what, on The Sound of Music, when, what's her name? Well, whatever her name is, Mary or whatever, sings a few of my favorite things. That's what a narcissist loves, is gaslighting, because it's altering your reality. So they don't have to take responsibility and accountability for their bullshit behavior. Wasn't that shitty and disrespectful to tell your partner that you're fat and ugly, but you think your coworker's hot? Who the fuck would like that shit? Like, really? And then if you flip the script and you give the person who did that, whether they're a narcissist or not, which most narcissists use that tactic. This is just an example, though. Excuse me. I'll say I was to flip the script, okay? And give them a taste of their own medicine. Oh my God, they fucking hate that shit. So let's say I come up to them and I go, "Man, you've been drinking so much beer, honey. You're getting such a beer belly. Jeez, and you're getting old. Your hair's turning gray. You look old and fat. Like, all that beer you drink, it gives you this big belly. Man, that guy I work with, now he's hot. And you know what? He's not that much. He's just about as old as you, but he looks good, right? You know what that guy's going to do after getting a taste of his own medicine? After he just told his partner that she's fat and ugly, but his coworker's hot, right? But she comes back and does the same thing to him, right? Thinking, give him a taste of his own medicine, right? See how he fucking feels. Because, hey, why not? Because if you can dish it out, why can't you take it back, right? So here's what's basically going to happen. She comes back and gives him a taste of his own medicine. Like, honey, you're getting old. Your hair's gray. You got a beer belly. But man, that guy that I work with, he's about your same age and he looks really healthy and really good. Man, that's going to piss him off. He's going to get so pissed off. Oh my God. God forbid, especially with a narcissist, okay? Especially with a narcissist. How dare you do to me what I do to you? How dare you? Only I'm allowed to treat you like shit. Only I'm allowed to abuse and disrespect you. How dare you do that to me? No, and that's basically it. Flying monkeys. Okay. Not many people know that term, but it comes from basically the Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch of the West. And she's got her flying monkeys, right? Flying monkeys is basically a toxic term, meaning, especially in narcissistic worlds, or narcissism, the world of narcissism, they'll have their flying monkeys, whether it be family, whether it be friends, or whether it be they turn your friends against you by using smear campaigns or lying about you or manipulating their family, friends, or your friends and family into thinking whatever, like they're some hero or victim, and you're some piece of shit low life loser, when it's the other way around, right? So basically, let's say whether you're broken up or not, usually it's when you're broken up, but either way, you know, they basically have the bad person's back, whether they're abusive, toxic, narcissistic, the bad guy. Okay. They have the bad guy's back, the disrespectful one, the guy that was like, you are fat and ugly and my coworker is hot as hell. They're going to back him up on that, or her. They're going to be like, yeah, huh? Shoot, I work with him. And yeah, she is hot. And man, you are getting fat and ugly, dude. I think he could do better than you, honey. That's flying monkeys. They always have his back no matter how shitty their behavior is. Okay. Love bombing. A lot of people. Okay. Now, like I said, some people carry narcissistic traits and may not technically have NPD officially, but a lot of narcissistic people, pretty much all of them, just about, who are narcissists, okay, do what's called love bombing. Okay. This is basically typically, usually in the beginning of a relationship, but can also be during a relationship too. So I'll explain in the beginning and then get into the during. So in the beginning of the relationship, they shower you with gifts. They love you so much. They want to marry you within a week. They want babies with you within 2 weeks. And just everything's so you are perfect. We're soulmates and we're perfect for each other. I've never met anybody like you in my life. Oh my God, I love you so much. And they just love the shit out of you. They pretty much love you. Yeah. Who doesn't want to be loved like that? We all should be loved like that. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's two different kinds of doing that. There's people who love bomb, and then there's people who actually mean it. Okay. What's the difference? Well, with love bombing, okay, it's not consistent. They shower you. We're not worthy. We're not, remember Wayne's World, we're not worthy. And they'll bow at your feet and you're so perfect to them. But then after a while, you ain't shit to them. So they're not consistent with it. They don't keep it up. After a while, they get bored with you, or they don't like you anymore, or they lose attraction, or they start treating you like shit, or prioritizing other things over you, or whatever the case may be. And then you don't have that pedestal anymore, right? So it's like it's inconsistent versus yeah, in the beginning relationship, some relationships last that go really fast. And usually these are love bombing is when things go really fast in the beginning. Okay, so in some relationships, hey, I've heard of relationships going really fast and lasting a long time. But the thing is they probably weren't love bombing. They probably actually meant it. There are people who actually mean what they say and keep up with and stay consistent with the love that they promise their partner. You understand? But the love bombing, it's not consistent. It doesn't stick. So now further into the relationship, what can happen is you might get, which I'll go over, discard. You might get discarded by the bad person, the bad guy, the bad girl, whatever. And they're like, look, I'm done with you. I don't like you no more for whatever reason. You may not even did anything. I'm bored. I want somebody else. And you know what? I don't like the way you look. I treated you like shit for the past 4 years. And because of it, it's made you feel so low and have such low self-esteem and depression that you've gained 50 pounds. And I just don't like it. I don't like you at 50 pounds heavier, even though I made you feel so shitty and depressive that you just, you couldn't even function. So you gained 50 pounds. So because those 50 pounds are my fault, I can't do it. So, I need to go look for hotter people. I'm sorry. Just, you're not good enough for me, right? They discard you. However they do it. Right. And then let's say, or this could be another scenario. So one or the other. So they'll discard you, or you get rid of them. Let's say you're the good guy and they're the bad guy, or good girl, bad girl, whatever. And, you're like, look, I can't take this anymore. And I'm not going to allow you to keep hurting me. I'm not going to allow you to keep disrespecting me. Okay. This is tearing me down. This is tearing me up. This is killing me, literally. Okay. I'm unhealthy because of it. My mental health has suffered because of it. And I just can't do it anymore. I either need you to leave or I'm going to leave. And then you start to leave. And guess what? After this shitty shit, thinking that you'll never leave. And then all of a sudden, surprise, you do. They're like, oh, no. Because they want control, right? They want the control. They want to be in the hot seat, in the controlling seat, to be the one that controls who leaves and who doesn't, right? So they'll start freaking out. No, you can't leave me, right? So they'll reel you back in with, even though they were just treating you like shit, like 2 days ago, or 1 day, or 20 hours ago, or 5 hours ago, or 5 minutes ago. And you're like, look, I'm leaving. I can't do this. They're like, uh-oh, what am I going to do I got to get her back. I got to get him back, whatever. So they start love bombing, right? So they were just treating you like shit. They were just disrespecting you and just making you feel lesser than. And then all of a sudden, because out of the blue, they're like, holy shit, he or she's going to leave me? What? Honey, I'm so sorry. I'll get help. I promise. You're right. I'm wrong. And they'll tell you anything they got that fishing line, man, and they got you hooked, and they'll reel your ass back in. I'm so sorry. I love you. Please don't leave me. Let's go out to dinner. They know that your favorite food is this Mexican food, and I'll take you to a full Mexican dinner, and I'll even buy you margaritas. How about that? Okay, margaritas sound good. And guess what? Typically, most times, unfortunately, people get suckered back into that shit, because a lot of us good people have a forgiving heart. We're empathetic, and compassionate, and we see the good in people. We believe in redemption and that people can change for the better. So you want to believe in them that they're going to change, right? I promise I'll change. I'll go to therapy. I'll go to rehab. I'll go to church. I'll go to God. I'll go to Home Depot and fix that, whatever they promise, right? Okay, fine. Give them another chance. And then guess what? Jesus Christ, it's like a freaking week later and they're right back to treating you like shit. Oh, what the fuck? And it's like, oh my, and it's a whole psychological mental bullshit game. It's messed up. So moving on, reactive abuse. That's a very important one. That one actually can get extremely dangerous, because it can put the wrong, at the worst case scenario, that can actually put the wrong person in prison, or on death row, or locked up, or dead even. Okay. Reactive abuse is basically, I know what your buttons are, right? I know what makes you insecure, so I'm going to feed off your insecurities. I know it makes you feel bad, and just because it feeds my ego, and just because they engage you into arguments. They instigate arguments, and they just keep pushing. And even if you're like, I'm not going to engage in this, they follow you around the house, and they just keep trying to engage you, right? And then they keep pushing you and pushing you and pushing you and pushing you, and feeding, giving into your insecurity. It's because you're mentally ill. That's because you're just mentally ill. That's why you do that. You have short term, I understand you forget things, but it's because you're mental, and you're a drug addict, and you're this and you're that, right? And just completely tearing you down. And they keep, and you're like, leave me alone, please, just stop. Please just stop. Please, I don't want to argue, please. Because they're not really arguing about anything, because they don't have a problem with anything. They're just trying to start shit with you. Excuse me. So sorry, I have asthma. They're just trying to start shit and stir the pot. Okay, there's no legitimate argument because they don't really have a problem with anything. They just want to start shit, really, because they're just putting you down, right? They're not addressing an issue. They're just trying to get you engaged and bait you into an argument so that it escalates. And then they push and 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 push. And look, a person can only take so fucking much before they fucking explode. And I'm talking literally. And with it, reactive abuse is basically when you're abused and pushed past the limit of no return, past your limit to a point where you completely and utterly behave out of your normal, typical character. Okay. You're not a violent person. You don't hit people. You don't even yell at people, or you don't, you're not an abusive person. You don't like to put people down. You don't like to yell. You don't like to fight, and especially with physical violence, you're not a physically violent person. You don't like to break stuff around the house or put holes in the wall, right? That's not within your character, your typical character. That's not who you are. But if somebody pushes you and pushes you and pushes you and pushes you, it will push you and it will mess you up so much psychologically, mentally, emotionally, that it will put you into a character that you don't even know. That's not even, it's just totally out of character. It's not who you are. And basically it's like, for instance, let's say they just keep coming and coming, and they keep getting closer to you and closer to you. And you're like, look, back up, because they're trying to intimidate you and kind of like try to, get you to maybe, touch them or give them a reason to hit you or whatever the case may be, right? And they keep coming closer and closer and closer and closer, violating your boundaries, violating your space, violating whatever, bubble you have, and making you feel unsafe and even making threats, and then you just become out of character because you can only take so much. And then you finally fucking and you start shredding and you start punching holes in walls. And then sometimes you might even, they'll be in your face and you just go and knock the shit out of their face. Then guess what? The cops come and they're like, look what you did to me. My face. And they play victim. That's reactive abuse. So they're the bad guy and they'll push you and push and push you until you do something about it. And you defend yourself, basically. And then all of a sudden, you're the bad guy and they're the victim. They switch it. And then they'll cry wolf to the police. They punched me in my face. Look what they did to me. Boo-hoo. My face. I got missing teeth and deep, and they're so mean. They're violent. I'm a victim. I'm such a victim. When they're not. They're not the victim. Okay? But guess who gets arrested? Guess who gets in trouble? Guess who gets the criminal record and gets thrown in jail? Or, however long you're in jail, or God forbid there's a death, because sometimes people explode and just kill their ass, and then you get convicted. You're a murderer, right? You're the monster now. And you're the victim. It's a really messed up form of abuse, okay? Just try to not engage and stay away from it as much as possible, okay? And then, like I said, another toxic term I mentioned is playing victim. Playing victim, okay, which is actually very disrespectful to the real victims, 100% real victims out in the world, okay, who are actual victims. You don't play victim. This isn't playing house or playing Barbies or playing a video game. You don't play, I'm gonna play it like Mario Brothers. You be player 1 and I'll be player 2. And what character you want? I'll be the victim. No, it's not like a fucking game, y'all. You don't play victim. You either are the victim or you're fucking not. And for those who play victim and pretend that they're a victim when they know good and damn fucking well they're not, is sick, twisted, demented, and disgusting, and very, very disrespectful towards the real victims in the world. Okay? It is. Because it's fake. It's a lie. Okay? It's delusional. Now, let's move on to codependency. Rhetorical question. Do you think it's good or bad? Well, there's usually a stigma behind codependency, isn't there? It's not good to be codependent, but guess what? Sometimes it is. But too much codependency, yes, that's toxic. Okay. Because you got to learn out of self-respect and self-love, revert back to the last episode, to be able to be independent enough to be on your own and take care of yourself, you know? But the thing is with codependency, the healthy kind, do we not need to rely on each other as partners, be each other's rocks and best friends and be there for each other? You know, when you're sick, I'm taking care of you. When I'm sick, you're taking care of me. When you're too tired and to do the laundry, I'll do the laundry. When I'm too tired to do the dishes, you do the dishes, and vice versa. Whatever, you have each other's backs, almost like each other's best friends. Even, you know, even if you have a best friend or a best buddy, you're each other's best friends. You know, so that's codependency. Like, I got your back, you got mine type of thing. So that's a healthy codependency. Okay. So it's actually not that bad. All right. Moving on. So if you've ever heard of, which you may have not, I'm going to have to look at my phone for this. And I don't have my glasses on, so bear with me. So if you're watching this podcast episode, you're going to see me looking down at my phone. If you're listening, you won't be able to tell shit. But it's called fair fighting rules, okay? This is something you need to look up, either write down, look up, and print out, and put it put it on your fucking refrigerator, okay? Your refrigerator, bathroom mirror, or bedroom mirror, whatever, or everywhere shit. You know, this is to ensure that both of you are fighting fair and respectively to each other, okay? Because fighting can get dirty. It really can. And then it escalates. And sometimes it escalates when it doesn't even need to, you know, and sometimes that can tear apart partners that otherwise would be together forever, you know? But okay, fair fighting rules. So we're going to go over all the fair fighting rules, and I'm going to explain and read each category of the fair fighting rules. So here we go. Fair fighting rules. Before you begin, ask yourself why you feel upset. Are you truly angry because your partner left the mustard on the counter? Or are you upset because you feel like you're doing an uneven share of the housework and this is just one more piece of evidence? Take time to think about your own feelings before starting an argument. Smart, right? Next, discuss one issue at a time. One at a time, because if you don't, you're never going to get to a resolution. You're never going to get to the end of the argument. And the whole point of arguing, which every relationship, I'm telling you, every relationship is not perfect by far. And in every relationship, you're going to argue, period. You're never going to see eye to eye all the fucking time. Okay. I promise you that. All right. But the whole point of arguing, okay, is to try to understand each other's point of views and respect them, whether you agree or disagree. Okay. And then you learn, you grow, and then move forward and do better for next time. So discuss one issue at a time. You shouldn't be spending so much money without talking to me. Can quickly turn into, you don't care about the family or about our family. Now, you need to resolve two problems instead of one. So here they go. You know, there's one issue of you shouldn't be spending so much money without talking to me. Two, there's another issue backing up. You don't care about our family. Well, which one are we going to talk about first? Damn. Is it going to be about spending money or about spending time with our family, or about caring about our family more, or priority? You know, you got to one issue at a time, one at a time. All right. Now you need to resolve two problems instead of one, right? Yeah, that's kind of overwhelming. So plus, when an argument starts to get off topic, it can easily become about everything a person has ever done wrong. We've all done a lot of wrong. So this can be especially cumbersome. All right. Next, no degrading language, which is so fucking hard. Look, I'm guilty of this. I ain't gonna lie. I'm guilty of this. Because when somebody disrespects you and pisses you the fuck off, it's like, well, what makes you think that I'm going to respect you? You know, if you're going to act like some low-life piece of fucking shit, I'm going to call you a low-life piece of fucking goddamn shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to act like it if the shoe fits, right? Because I get defensive like that. I'm guilty of this, and I'm working. Look, this is a work in progress. All of this, you and your partner, me too. Okay, so, but these are the fair fighting rules. Try to remember them and practice them. Okay, you got to practice them. So, no degrading language, which means discuss the issue, not the person. No put downs, swearing, or name calling. Degrading language is an attempt to express negative feelings while making sure your partner feels just as bad. This will just lead to more character attacks while the original issue is forgotten. Exactly. So it's like you could be attacking each other more than you're going to be worrying about what the fucking issue is in the first goddamn place. So fucking focus and pay the hell attention. Next is express your feelings with words and take responsibility for them. Okay. I feel angry, or I feel hurt when you ignore my phone calls. I feel scared when you yell. These are good ways to express how you feel, starting with I. Okay. I feel angry. I feel hurt when you ignore my phone calls. I feel scared when you yell. These are good ways to express how you feel, starting with I is a good technique to help you take responsibility for your feelings. No, you can't say whatever you want as long as it starts with I. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Next, take turns talking. Okay, don't have one person. And look, been there, done that. Okay, one person will be yap, 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 yap. You can't get 2 words in, and they'll be talking for 5 fucking hours, and you're like, "Are you done yet? Can I say something now?" And then it's like, God forbid, you go to finally get some time to talk. They've been yapping for 5 fucking hours, and then you get 5 minutes into what you're saying, and then they interrupt you, and then they start talking for another 3 hours. Shut the fuck up, okay? And give each other time to speak and finish what you're saying. It's so rude. But anyway, take turns talking. This can be tough, but be careful not to interrupt. If this rule is difficult to follow, try setting a timer allowing 1 minute for each person to speak without interruption. Don't spend your partner's minute thinking about what you want to say. Listen. So that's a good idea. So set a timer. They say 1 minute. I would say maybe like 3 to 5 minutes, maybe, depending on how much you like to talk. I would say 5 minutes for me because I will talk about 5 minutes. But, set the timer for however long. And while that timer is going and your partner's sitting there talking to you, you don't interrupt. And not only that, you listen and pay attention. Don't be thinking about what you're going to say next, because then you're not paying attention, are you? It's disrespectful, and vice versa. Okay. No stonewalling. Okay, that's another toxic term, by the way, stonewalling, okay? Sometimes the easiest way to respond to an argument is to retreat into your shell and refuse to speak. This refusal to communicate is called stonewalling. So there you go. That's the toxic term. It's basically ignoring your partner when you need to discuss something serious, okay? Or an issue. You might feel better temporarily, but the original issue will remain unresolved and your partner will feel more upset. If you absolutely cannot go on, tell your partner you need to take a timeout. Agree to resume the discussion later. So if you need to take a timeout and you can't talk about it right now, and you're just like, no, I can't talk about it. Don't just stop it there. Like, I'm not going to talk about it. No, you say, I can't talk about it right now. Okay, so you take a timeout, but we will discuss it later. And I would even go even further and be exact and technical about it. Say in 3 hours, exactly, and to the T. I'm talking like you got to be at work at 3. You better be there for your partner at 3. If it's in 20 minutes, you better be there for your partner in 20 minutes, just like you are for church. Okay, you gonna be on time for church? You gonna be on time for work? You better be on time for your partner too, right? No yelling. This one's a really hard one. Oh my God. Because don't we all do it, right? But here's the thing, especially if you have kids or even pets or animals, guess what? If they're around yelling, that's not good. That scares them. Okay. And they're not even there. And it's like sometimes they'll get caught up in the middle of it. It's scary. But no yelling. Sometimes arguments are quote unquote won by being the loudest. But the problem only gets worse. Why? Because if I'm talking and then you start talking over me and then I if I'm talking and then you start talking over me and then I try to talk over you and then you're not, it's what the fuck? We're just yelling at each other, man. That's not communication. Like, just fucking talk. Chill the fuck out. Lower your goddamn voice and shut the fuck up or something. I don't know. Just lower your tone. All right, next is to take a time out if things get too heated. In a perfect world, we would all follow these rules 100% of the time, but it just doesn't work like that. If an argument starts to become personal or heated, take a time out. Agree on a time to come back and discuss the problem after everyone has cooled down. As mentioned earlier with stonewalling, if you cannot discuss it right then, you say, in 3 hours or in 20 minutes, we're going to discuss this. And if you're going to be on time for church, and if you're going to be on time for work, you better be on time for your partner too. That's the same thing that this is saying. Okay. If it's too heated, even have a code word, like it could be a silly word, like if it's getting loud and I'm talking way too loud, right? And it's getting escalated and you're like getting fear and still you're just getting scared or whatever the case, you can be like pineapple. That's your safe word, pineapple. And when you say pineapple, okay, previous to that argument, you have to commit, both of you, period. No if, and, or buts. If that person says pineapple, you shut the fuck up. Even if you're the one, even if it's your partner yelling, if you say pineapple, your partner needs to stop right there. If they're like, pineapple, stop talking, stop yelling, stop what you're doing, drop what you're doing, and shut the hell up. And let's take a break. And vice versa. Your other partners might be pizza. So it's getting too much. Pizza! Shut the fuck up. Stop what you're doing. Take a fucking break. And then you each agree. We'll come back in 30 minutes. That's at 5:35 p.m. Fine. Okay. And then you go take a breather, take a shit, take a piss, whatever. Wipe your face off even. I usually have to wash my face with cold water. All right. The last one is attempt to come to a compromise or an understanding. Like I mentioned earlier, the point of an argument is to understand each other's, differences. All right. Whether you agree or disagree, and you learn, you grow and forgive even. You learn, you grow, and you move forward and do better. Right. And you resolve the fucking issue. You don't keep going back to it, because if you do, then obviously that issue is never fucking resolved. That's the point of an argument, is to be resolved, period. Not to keep on going and talking and arguing about it, okay? So if you fuck up, you take accountability and responsibility for your fuck up, all right? Because saying sorry to your partner isn't shit. Sorry is change behavior. So you basically, you may apologize verbally, but you better do better. You better show better. You better never do that shit again, right? But attempt to come to a compromise or an understanding. There isn't always a perfect answer to an argument. Life is just too messy for that. Do your best to come to a compromise. This will mean some give and take for both of you. Like it might be 60% him and 40% you, and it might, shit. This is gonna be like that sometimes. It's not always 50-50, okay? And if you can't come to a compromise, merely understanding can help soothe negative feelings, meaning agree to disagree, period. If you can come to agreement, look, agree to disagree, period. So that's all you gotta do. And then maybe you'll understand someday better, right? Let's see, what else? All right, so we're on to our workshop now. So that's the end of the segment of the episode of toxic terms, which, I don't know how long I've been going, but hey, have y'all learned anything yet? But hey, we're going to learn more, because this is the actual workshop. This is the interactive part. This is the fun part. Now, if you need to take a break, a smoke break, a drink break, a pee break, a kissing break, whatever, maybe hug each other. Go ahead, hug each other. Go ahead right now. Just hug each other and tell each other you love each other. Why not? You need a break, pause this episode and come back. Okay. Simple as that. But we're getting into the workshop now. So here we go. The learning part of the workshop. All right. This is just something to ponder. Okay. No big deal. Why is it good to know toxic terms? Well, it's so that you can recognize if or when someone is trying to manipulate or lie or play tricks or abuse or confuse you, basically, or disrespect you, right? It kind of is an indicator. You have a term to it, you have a name for it now, so it's valid, right? It's like, oh, I know what they're doing now. Yeah, that's gaslighting, instead of, I don't know what he's doing to me, but I don't like it. It hurts, right? So that's just to ponder that, and you can write this in your notes. That's fine. All right, so the exercise. Here we go. Oh wait, hold on. Is there one more learning? Can you? Oh! Back up, y'all. Back up. I'm sorry. The learning experience. I have horrible handwriting. Sorry. All right, so learning experience. We're not doing one more. So here we go. And this might require you opening up your booklet or notes and writing it down. So if you ain't got pen and paper right now, you better pause this shit. Go get a pen and paper. Ready? Here we go. Here's a question. And you can think about, I'm going to ask this question. You can think about it in your head or you can write it down. That's fine. Can you think of 3 ways codependency is good? Think of 3 ways that codependency is good. Then think of 3 ways that codependency can be bad or toxic. You can either write it down or think about it in your head, just so you know. Because knowing's half the battle. G.I. Joe. Right? Now we're getting into the exercise. All right. Like I said, did you get that pen and paper? Because you're going to need it for the exercise. So, all right. On paper, I'm going to read the instructions and we'll go over it, okay? So, on paper, okay, write down 3 toxic terms and their definition. To your best of knowledge, okay? Now, like I said, do some research. I went over some of these terms and the definitions and what they mean, pretty much majority of the examples I gave. But you can also Google the definitions and things like that before you do the exercise, okay? So before you actually write down and choose 3 of those terms that I mentioned, okay, go and do some research and look up some toxic terms or whatever and get the definition, try to remember it, and then write it down. So on paper, write down 3 toxic terms and the definition to the best of your knowledge. Now, when you do this, you're not Googling yet. Okay, you can do it beforehand, before you do this exercise, right? But when you do this exercise or while you're doing it, do not Google. Don't get a dictionary or a thesaurus. Nope. Do it off the top of your head, best to your ability, because that's how you learn. You got to practice. Practice makes perfect. If you didn't get it right, well, practice, do it again. All right, now, the second one is on paper. Remember, get that paper and pen. If you ain't got it yet, man, go get it. All right, so in the first one, on a piece of paper, write down 3 toxic terms and the definition and write it down to the best of your knowledge without Googling or anything. The next one is on paper, write down 4 of the fair fighting rules. Can you remember 4 of the fair fighting rules? I'll tell you this much. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait. 3, 6. There's 9 of them. There's 9 categories of fair fighting rules. So write down 4 of the 9. Okay, so there's going to be 5 left. So 4 of those 9 that I mentioned and went over. Okay. And make this a game. Don't look them up. When you do this exercise, don't use Google. Nope. That's the whole point of paying the fucking attention to this episode. Now, if you got to go back and listen to this episode again, or that part of the episode again, that's fine. All right, that's fine. But don't cheat and don't use it while you're doing the exercise, because that's not fair. That's cheating. Don't do that. You're doing F, y'all. Not good. You ain't gonna graduate. All right, try to do it off the top of your head, because that's how you learn. Okay. So on a piece of paper, write down 4 of the fair fighting rules. So there you go. Well, and then don't forget your checklist. Last but not least, now that we've done the toxic terms segment of this episode, and now we went into the workshop and we finished the learning experience and the exercise. guess what? Go to your checklist. And when you finish everything, what do? Check it off. Hello. Now we're at the end of the segment of Toxic Terms. This is the second episode of a 10 series episode, technically, besides the intro, if you want to make that 11. But anyway, 10 episodes, okay? But this is episode number 2. Okay, episode number 1 was self-love. This is the Toxic Terms. And check off episode 2. Okay, and then you're done. You're done with this episode. Yay! Good job, guys. Good job. All right, great job. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for doing this with me and taking the time out to listen, to pay attention, to learn with me. Okay, because you know what? Some of this I'm learning my damn self. I know a lot of this already by heart, but it doesn't hurt to keep learning it because then it sticks, right? Practice makes perfect. Anyway, I'm Anna Taylor of the Anna Taylor Radio Podcast Show. This was Toxic Terms, episode 2 of a series of 10 episodes of The Love Project. Have a great night, folks, and be safe. Bye. Hey, it's Anna here from the Anna Taylor Radio Podcast Show. If you or someone you know who is in a crisis or suffering in some way, who needs help or is in a bad situation, here is a list of resources to help them along the way so that they can get the help they need. Grab a pen and paper. This is very important. For the suicide hotline, you can call or text 988. For self-harm, 1-800-366-8288. For abortion, 1-866-439-4253. For adoption, 1-800-367-2367. For eating disorders, 1-800-931-2237. For bullying, 1-800-420-1479. For LGBTQ+, 1-866-488-7386. For sexual assault, 1-800-656-4673. For domestic violence, 1-800-799-7233. For pregnancy and infant and child loss, 1-800-944-4773. For grief, 1-800-445-4808. And for mental health, 1-800-950-6264. And if you're in a crisis or an emergency situation, I highly recommend that you call 911. Be safe.